Hey folks, Matt Kuda here, coming back to you for episode, oh my word, what are we up to, 76 of the Matt Kuda Photography Podcast. And we're going to continue the series today of St. Augustine. Now, I took a trip to St. Augustine, well, Florida in general. Just a little backstory in case you missed last week's. Went to St. Augustine, spent a great deal of time at the St. Augustine Alligator Farm Rookery. That's where a lot of wild birds will come. They will mate, have their offspring, and it's a great photo opportunity for everyone involved. Okay, so the first day, I was just getting settled in. I got a few decent shots. The second day, things really heated up. I mean, there were shots everywhere. I'm sure there were a ton that I missed. Everywhere you look, birds, bird nests, offspring, chicks, fights, flight, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to explore 7 photographs that I took on day 2. Now, I could have put probably 5 more out here that were equally as good as these. And as time progresses, you will see those on my feeds. But yeah, St. Augustine, day 2. What an amazing adventure. So the first shot here, the day was blue sky, cloudy at times, partly cloudy and mostly cloudy, depending on what time of day it was. This first shot here, I really like this shot because, and I know that this is not what is happening in this shot, but to me, as I view this, it looks like the mother is shading or protecting the young one with her giant wing. And I know that's not what's happening. She's actually just stretching her wings and, feeling or getting ready to fly. She's probably going to fly in a couple minutes, so she's stretching those wings out, getting them ready for action. And but the beauty of photography is we can tell whatever story we want to tell. We can tell what actually happened, which is what I'm telling you now. Or when you look at this image, you can draw your own conclusions. And that's what photography really is, isn't it? It is drawing your own conclusions about the images. That's what makes it different from video. Video is great for some things. Video is great for telling a different story, or maybe a more realistic story, or even a more, multimedia cinematic type story. But here, and I love the simplicity of this image. We have a nest. It's very high up. We have this one chick off to the right here who is just kind of looking up at mom, and mom is kind of, she's kind of looking there too. And she's got her wing up here. It just looks like a special moment to me. Now, yeah, maybe I'm crazy. I just feel like that's a cool shot. Anyhow, for those that want to know, that's taken with my Sony camera and my 200. I was renting the 200 to 600 Sony zoom lens, and by the way, that's a fabulous lens. You're going to see a lot of great shots. The A7 III is the camera I'm using. f6.3, 600 millimeters, 1/2500th of a second, ISO 800, and just a beautiful image. I'm really happy with that one. Next image is a commercial. Thank you, Flickr, for your commercial. Okay, the next image. Now, this is one of those images where it just kind of smacks you. It's a lot of color. It's a lot of saturation. I did very little saturation in this image, by the way. It's just that the colors that are here were just already so saturated. The pinks are just, you can see there's a little bit of saturation here that I added, but the pinks were just so bright. The sun angle was good here. coming in from behind me. You got these beautiful green, evergreen here. I'm not sure what kind of evergreen that is. And the bird just popping up over that evergreen, coming right down toward me. The blue sky, I personally like blue skies. I know a lot of people think they're passé. A lot of people think, oh, I'd rather have, bright pink skies or something like that. Okay, yeah, I get that. But I'll tell you what, especially with a roseate spoonbill, which we have here, that blue sky looks really, really nice. I got a dust spot right there. I got to get out of this image. But one disadvantage, by the way, of the Sony systems, they have a lot of dust spot problems. And I will constantly use an air blower to get rid of these dust spots, even though they have a dust removal system. Not nearly as good as Canon's was. Not sure why they can't get a handle on the dust, sensor dust. Anyway, it's easily taken care of in post. But if you're doing videos and things like that, it can be a real pain in the behind. So anyway, here's this roseate spoonbill, f6.3, 379 millimeters, 1/3200th of a second at ISO 1000, and we are talking about crisp. I can't zoom in here because I've got a small image out here, but we're talking crisp, we're talking sharp, autofocus, amazing tracking on the autofocus. At times I felt like I was cheating. It was so good. And definitely a keeper. I will be buying that lens at some point because that is just an awesome lens. Okay, next shot. This is a very common, classic mother chick type shot. Now, I don't know if you know this, and I may have talked about this on the last episode, but egrets particularly, and other heron type birds as well, will reach up and they will grab the mother's bill and they will pull on that bill as hard as they can downward. And they can be quite violent and aggressive, actually. And I don't know all the biology behind it. I assume when they do that, it releases maybe something in the mother's brain that allows them to regurgitate the food for the chicks. I don't know, but they will pummel the mother. And that's what's getting ready to happen here. They're begging. The mother's like, nope, I already fed you, go away. And they're going to grab that bill, and in the next couple of shots that I took, they actually grabbed that bill. But beautiful birds. The gray egret is a symbol of Florida. It's their state bird. It is an amazing bird. Beautiful, beautiful breeding plumage. Very prolific. Everywhere you look, you see these things in Florida. So naturally, I'll have more shots of those. But this one was f6.3, 576 millimeters, 1/8000th of a second, 800 ISO. You say, Matt, why is your shutter speed so high? ISO 800 is as good as 200 was years ago in the cameras, and so I just pretty much leave it at that. And then I just ride my shutter and I just let it go to where it needs to go, and it happened to be at 1/8000. And if they do take flight, they're going to be frozen perfectly in action. So, the great egret and her chicks. Next image. Okay. Now, one of the things that I really like about herons, egrets, wading birds, is they have this way about them of creeping. They kind of creep very slowly. They're very good hunters, fishermen, whatever you want to call them. And here is a perfect example of that behavior where instead of walking in the water, this guy's actually walking down this branch. And you can see how it's just creeping along slowly down that branch. And it's very interesting if you look down here at the talons. Look how he or she, I guess it's a he, has got this got his talons wrapped around this wood. You know, it's interesting how that it's great. It's a very good behavior shot. But I also like the great just red eye here in this tricolored heron. Beautiful plumage for mating. Love this little, it almost has a dusty, reddish, purple type deal going on here. The legs are very red. Nice blue lures here. This is called the lure here, right now on the bill. Beautiful, beautiful bird, and a great behavioral shot here. F6.3, 600 millimeters, 1/1600th of a second at ISO 1000. Okay, the next shot. Now, as you know, I'm here at the rookery, and we have juvenile birds, we have female birds, we have male adult, we have adults, we have, you know, the whole deal. We have little hatchlings, we have juveniles, in between, whatever age you can think of are here. And this one, I believe, I'm looking at this now, and I'm not seeing a lot of markings on the head here. Most likely, and I'm not sure about this, but most likely this is a juvenile that can fly, but does not have all of his markings for breeding. And you can even see here the feathers are not as well filled out and mature. So, but still an interesting shot against that blue sky. The pink and the blue, they just go great together in my opinion. Get to see that great red eye right there, and beautiful, beautiful bird. Flight shots, typically very difficult to do. Takes a lot of experience, practice, a lot of patience. But I'll tell you what, with that 200 to 600 Sony lens, it was much easier than with my Sigma 150 to 600. And the price is right on that lens. But here at 1/3200th of a second, I've captured the completely captured the motion of the wings. Just happy with this shot, happy the way it turned out. Okay, next. All right, now we talked about the great egret. The great egret is a bird that, again, is everywhere in Florida. Okay. During breeding season, the male will get this very, first of all, very intense red eye. That's common among the egrets, heron type birds. The lures turn this bright green, and they have these feathers that will actually, they can actually kind of fold them out during the flirting stage, if you will, where they're flirting, trying to find a mate. And that's very similar to what a peacock would do, right? These are very similar to those big peacock feathers that you see. And they'll do all kind of crazy stuff. I mean, some of them will really fan those things out, and some of them don't. This one, he didn't fan them out as much as I have seen them do, but he was definitely displaying here. Nice S-curve on the neck. I always love that with wading birds. You can see his nest here that he's been building, and this looks really nice. 518 millimeters on that with the Sony. Crisp. Very little noise. Happy with that shot. Okay, so that's all I had for day 2. But like I said, day 2 was a great experience. It was I started in day 2. I started meeting other photographers. I have no idea all their names. I mean, I was meeting people and talking to them. There was a couple gentlemen I talked to about every day, and we just chat about everything from, you know, where have you seen birds recently, or is this good for this year? are we seeing the birds that we should be seeing? Where else do you go take photographs? What do you do for a living? I mean, all that kind of stuff when we're talking about. And I mean, it's a great time that's one thing good about being at these rookeries is you really do get to, I mean, some people call it networking. I don't know. I just call it talking. You get to talk to a lot of people and you get to find out a lot of interesting information. I got some information about some places to go in Florida for osprey from one guy. Like I said before, I got to talk to Chaz, the Canada Explorer of Light, briefly, a couple times, high and by, and then we talked a little bit about lighting and where the good lighting is in this area, that type of thing. A nice fellow, nice guy. That's the first time I'd actually talked to him. Yeah, I'm 100% sure. That's the first time I talked to him. I think I may have talked to him online once, but in person, first time. So you get to meet these people when you're out there. But day 2 was definitely taking it up a notch. And like I said, I could have put 5 more images out here, and like I said, you will see them on my feed, but I didn't want to belabor this and make it any longer, than it needed to be. So, anyway, that's all I had. Now, Matt Kuda Photography Podcast. This is essentially what this is, okay? It has morphed from an audio-only podcast that was available for years. For years I did that, and it was available on the Android platform and the iPhone platform or the iOS platform. And I don't know, I went to a new website, and the new website doesn't really support the audio podcast. And so I said, you know what? Why don't I just go to YouTube with this? Put everything out there. We'll still call it Matt Kuda Photography Podcast. And I'll also work in other things like, what's going on with my business and, where you can buy my work and all that kind of thing. I'll fit that all in here as well. And we'll just make it one big happy podcast, right? So not really a podcast per se. I mean, it's probably like a vlog podcast, video. Sometimes I go live, so you can't think of it in quite those terms like it used to be. So anyway, that's where I'm headed. That's what I'm doing. I got a nice new intro on the way that I'm developing. I got a lot of old episodes of the Matt Kuda Photography Podcast that I'm trying to get moved over to video, and I'm enhancing them by adding photographs, and so that's taking time. And so you just have to deal with that and wait for them. But I'll still be making new ones. I would say I'm trying to do it once a week, but I might miss a week or two here and there. So you can expect that. I'm going to start doing reviews again. Reviews from the Blind was very, very popular on YouTube, and I need to get back to doing that. And I need to get back to doing my editing videos as well. They're quite popular, so look for all that in the future. Anyway, I just want to thank you guys for watching and listening. Make it a great day and get out there and enjoy nature. Bye-bye.